Audiophiles living dangerously? Is that even a thing? It's just, you just sit there and listen to your hi-fi. What could be dangerous about that? Your hi-fi sits on a shelf or sits on the floor or something, but living dangerously? What are you talking about, Steve? I can dredge up some stories about where my life was in danger. The first one, it's funny now. I was working at the store, Sound by Singer in New York City, and we got in this shipment of, I'm pretty sure it was Krell amplifiers, and we were going to put them all in the basement. It was a stock guy was loading them onto a conveyor belt that took them from the street level floor into the basement. These are heavy amplifiers, 100+ pounds. And I'm at the bottom of the stairs, and I'm talking to one of the guys down there. And one of the guys at the top of the stairs is loading these amplifiers onto the conveyor belt. But I guess he slipped or something, and the amplifiers started falling down end over end on the conveyor belt. And I was at the bottom of the stairs at the base of the conveyor belt. And this guy who I'm talking to sees them coming. I'm like, I guess my back is to the amplifier, about to crush me. And he sees it coming and he just yanks me out of the way. And the amplifier just comes crashing down. It was almost like that scene in Raiders of the Lost Ark, you know, with the boulder, right? It was like that, but on an amplifier. And we're looking at it there and we're laughing, you know, because it was that close a call. But, you know, I escaped without a scratch. The amplifier was fine. They're very well packed. So it was dangerous. It was, at that moment, at least, it was dangerous. I can actually think of two other incidents, both at the store, where amplifiers that weren't actually sold by the store, they were brought into the store to do demos for the owner of the store, Andy Singer. And one of them, the guy sets up this amplifier, big tube amplifier. So I'm back there. I'm in the back room, listening to the amplifier. I wish I could tell you the name. I honestly don't remember the name of it. But anyway, doesn't matter. They're long out of business. And you'll soon see why. So we're back there, we're talking, and all of a sudden, and his back now is towards me, and I'm looking at the amplifier, and it just erupted into a flame. It just shot up, whoosh, you know, like 3-4 feet up in the air, and then it just was gone, and then it was just smoke. It just was gone. It was gone, and it was gone for good. So I got this other story about eruptions. Well, I have a few, to tell you the truth. Anyway, so I had this customer. He bought this amplifier. It was a new amplifier. It had just come out. It was highly anticipated. Everybody was very excited by this amp. And he takes the amp home, and he's enjoying it. And one day, he had the amplifier one day, and it just died. It just, all the usual things that you would try, nothing would revive it. It was dead. I said, no problem. He brings it to the store. I give him another one, takes it home. Same thing happens a day or so later. 2 amps. Whew, what a freaky occurrence, you know. So anyway, I had a third amplifier in the stock room. I give him the third amplifier. Remember, the first 2 just died. Give him the third amplifier. He calls me the next day, and I said, oh no, again? And he said, no, worse. It caught on fire. Similar fire where it just burned for a second or 2, and then it just turned to smoke. And that was it for him and that amplifier. So, yeah. And actually, I have this other story. I was at a recording session, and an amplifier caught on fire. Now, it sounds like amplifiers catch on fire all the time. They really don't, and I can't think of any that have burst into flame in decades. These are all in the 80s, early 90s, and that hasn't happened since, so I guess things have gotten better. But anyway, another tube amplifier in flames in front of the guy that made it. How embarrassing is that? He brought it to the session for us to listen to at a recording session, and it caught on fire. And yeah, another one. I don't. In all these stories, I don't remember the fires being put out by fire extinguishers. But I would say if you're a kind of audiophile who has bad luck or something, you should probably have a fire extinguisher on hand. I do. I bought one years ago when I first started reviewing equipment. Probably because of these experiences with flames and amplifiers. But anyway, it's possible. It's a long shot, but it's better to have a fire extinguisher. You can use it for other things, kitchen fires, like other types of electrical fires. Wouldn't be the worst investment. You can get a decent one for $25 or so, or $30. So Anyway, those are the end of my fire-related stories, but I did tell you the story that happened decades earlier where one of my speakers caught on fire inside the cabinet itself, and it just smoldered inside, and the room was filling with smoke, and I couldn't figure it out, and eventually it was obvious it was coming from the speaker. But it wasn't a fire, it was heat that set the internal stuffing of the speaker into not flames exactly, but smoldering. And the smell lasted for weeks, a very long time. So yes, fire can hurt you. Fire could be dangerous, obviously, so it's nothing to be joked about, although I am joking, but I'm just telling you these stories. So anyway, be careful. That's the message here. It can be pretty serious. So other, in minor, much more minor, less deadly is speaker stands. Now, speaker stands with spikes on the bottom of them. We would put the stand down and without looking, put the spike through our shoe. And this happened a lot. It happened to me a bunch of times, but I never hit a toe. I never hit flesh with the spike. I just made holes in my shoe. You'd think after the first once or twice, you'd think after the first or second time I would be more careful. But, I'm talking to the customers, I'm putting this. Anyway, it happens, and it happens to other salesmen. And honestly, I can't think of anybody that actually hurt themselves with the spike puncturing their foot or toes or something. So that's good, right? Then I got this other guy that isn't exactly hi-fi related, but it's in the ballpark, he lived in a smallish Greenwich Village apartment, and he was a hoarder, but a hoarder of vinyl. In this apartment, he must have had, a small studio Greenwich Village apartment, and he easily had, 20, 30,000 records. And it was one of those places you could barely get into his apartment. There were just so many records on shelving. And he slept on the floor, like on a mattress on the floor. And one night, one of the shelves collapsed. One whole stack of shelves collapsed, and the records came tumbling down. And they could have really hurt him, but luckily they didn't. And he learned his lesson, and not immediately, but he soon thereafter went out and bought much sturdier racks and shelving to support his gigantic record collection. And just to rehash the story I've already told on the channel, that I used to be a movie theater projectionist, and I had to go behind the screen one day before the theater opened to adjust some stuff, and there was this huge voice of the theater speaker there, all-tech voice of the theater, big box. So I'm on the ladder, and I'm trying to adjust something, and I was losing my balance, so I reached over to the back of the speaker to steady myself, and I could feel the speaker tipping forward towards the screen. And I felt like I gotta let go because it might fall off the stand and go through the screen and destroy the screen, and I'd probably lose my job. Or I would let go, I'd pull back, and I might fall off the ladder. And I was, 3-4 feet up off the cement floor. And at that, I had to make a decision, right? I had to make a decision whether I was going to risk falling off the ladder or risk the speaker falling through the screen. And I was, 23, 24 years old. And I thought, I'm going to go with falling off the ladder. And that's what I did. I pulled away from the speaker, but I didn't fall off the ladder. So, all's well that ends well. But it was kind of, at that moment, it was one of those at-the-moment things. It felt really scary. But it all, probably lasted 3-4 seconds. But in any case, in all these stories, no one was actually hurt. That's the good news, right? So if you have any stories about your audio system or other people's or your friends or something that actually had similar death-defying or injury-defying moments with hi-fis, let's hear about it in the comments below. I want to hear those stories. My name is Steve Guttenberg. This, as you well know, is the Audiophiliac Daily Show. Right now, and has been for a while now, right now coming to you 4 days a week, basically every other day unless something pops up that I have to do it on the day off day. In any case, this is the Audiophiliac Daily Show, and if you dig it, please subscribe to this YouTube channel. If you really, really like it, I urge you strongly to check out the Patreon, which can be found at patreon.com/audiophiliac, and I will link to that below. And I should also mention that Patreon now accepts payment in dollars, pounds, and euros. As for other things, well, I could tell you we got playlists here. We got playlists for speaker reviews and headphone reviews and electronics reviews and music reviews and interviews with so many incredibly interesting people. And yes, just look through those playlists and you will have hours and hours of fun. So you will binge. You could be binging for weeks before you see everything. So I feel like, so my work here is at last complete. Thank you again for watching, and I really do hope to see you back here again very, very soon. Bye-bye.